The following program presents principles designed to promote good health and is not intended to take the place of personalized professional care. The opinions and ideas expressed are those of the speaker. Viewers are encouraged to draw their own conclusions about the information presented.
Hello and welcome to Health for a Lifetime. I'm your host, Don McIntosh, and today I'm delighted to be joined with Dr. Richard Nelson, who really is passionate about not only medicine, but especially, we're going to talk today a little about international medicine, what you call Health Expo. And it doesn't have to just be in North America, it can be around the world. Exactly what is Health Expo?
Well, Health Expo is a blended program where people are our program, and we're out there to help prevent so many of these lifestyle-related diseases, bring health and happiness to the whole family.
Now, you're a medical doctor, and you are the vice president at Weimar Institute in Weimar, California. And I understand that Weimar recently has won an award for its New Start programs. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Weimar has been offering the New Start Lifestyle program as it now stands for about 23 years, and we've been recognized by private and other agencies for our good work, especially in long-term results. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine ranked us top 2 in the nation for long-term obesity treatment. But more recently, we've had 2 universities, their cardiology departments, kindly looking over our program, giving us suggestions, and seeing how they might incorporate some of our techniques in their own practice.
Well, that's gratifying. It's also a great opportunity. It's probably a little stress-producing, too, isn't it?
Well, actually, it's a lot of fun to have somebody who spends their whole life in the hospital come up and see how rapidly people can come off of medications they've been on for 5 or 10 years safely and under monitoring of a physician.
You know, another interesting thing that I've heard is that recently, you know, the insurance providers, or Medicare or whatnot, is starting to pay for lifestyle-type programs like the New Start program. Is that correct?
Well, in 1998, they were looking at doing a retrospective study from the Healthcare Finance Administration, and 4 areas were listed in the government packet, and we were honored to be listed as in that document. At that time, they decided to go with a prospective study instead, and they have announced on the internet webpage of HCFA that they're going to be choosing 2 multi-center sites. The first one selected was the Dr. Dean Ornish program for reversing heart disease, because he's the one who published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, December of '98, that through the lifestyle heart trial, coronary artery disease, it appears, can be reversed in a significant percentage of cases. And now a large-scale prospective multi-center study is underway. It's a demonstration project. Weimar Institute's New Start Lifestyle program, we feel, would be an ideal second site selection. But that's not our only goal.
Right.
We're working with university departments to enter into long-term studies to carefully look at the components of the New Start program as applicable to the public.
Now, some people may be watching today, and we want to talk about Health Expo, which is a little bit different than New Start, but some people may be watching today, and I want to just kind of rapidly go through New Start just to recap that.
I can give it to you in 2 things.
Okay.
Whole plant foods, eaten whole, and walk, walk, walk. If you forget everything else, remember those 2 things, and that our Creator wishes for us to have good health, and He loves us whether we follow these principles or not.
We have a web page that you've given us to let people know about. That's www.newstart.ws. And if you go to that website, N-E-W-S-T-A-R-T, newstart.ws, you'll be able to get more of the particulars about the program, I'm sure, about when the schedules are and whatnot. But let's switch gears. You know, I've talked now to you just during this program and another taping where we were talking about another subject, but I've noticed that you're really passionate about one thing especially, and that's this Health Expo idea. What is Health Expo and how exactly does it work?
Just try to imagine if you're a physician and you're able to see 5, 10, 15 patients in a day. But what if you were able to influence 1,000 people in a day? And that's what's exciting about Health Expo, because Health Expo takes the principles of preventive and therapeutic medicine in a public display with high-resolution graphics, 8 exhibits on each of the principles of health, followed by a platform presentation, a New Start for Kids program, and a whole package that a community can receive, and literally thousands of people can benefit. We've gone from our largest program, which was over 20,000 people in attendance, to smaller programs where a few hundred will attend, but the results are the same.
So you've done this in other countries. What other countries have you done this in?
Well, 30. I'll just mention a few. Of course, the United States and Canada, Mexico, Norway, India, Hungary, a modified program in China, and in Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan,
all the stans.
Tanzania, Ghana, the Pacific Ocean Islands, and that's just to name a few.
And so in these particular governments, some of these governments are not typically open to people from the American culture or Western nations. How have the governments in these different countries responded?
Well, first, when they get to know the program and they see that we're there to benefit the whole community, and also they know that with all the technology that North America has and Europe has, in many of these lifestyle diseases, they're not making a tremendous dent on long-term mortality statistics. And what they want to see is, how can we prevent these lifestyle diseases in our country? They don't have the resources to have the best heart centers over there. And as a heart surgeon will tell you, I can only help a few people every day. Think about the thousands out there that can't get help. And I used to have the privilege to work with an open heart surgery team in a non-physician role. And I saw even the very best team in the world could only help 5 or 10 people in a day. Whereas with Health Expo format, we can bring those surgeons and other doctors to give a guest lecture. And what an impact. And we've had tremendous support from medical community in coming and joining us when they're not in the operating suite or in the clinics, to come and help us share freely with the public on how you can change your lifestyle.
Tell us about China. What happened in China? You mentioned you did it there. Did you do it on the Great Wall of China? Where did you do it?
Well, in China, we used the Health Expo panels as a backdrop for a series of infomercials featuring Dr. Mark Finley, and this was shown throughout China in 20 provinces. Very well received by the government and by the public. Since China is the world's largest producer and consumer of tobacco, they need to attack the problem of tobacco. And so we used the New Start exhibits as a backdrop and focused in on the areas of prevention of lung disease and heart disease.
Okay, so in China, it was really focusing on anti-smoking. Most of the studies I hear coming out about large population studies and disease, they rank China as very healthy, except for maybe in the cities.
They're estimating that in the next 25 years, 50 million of the young smokers in China will die of cigarette-related disease. So it's a significant health problem.
Are they upset at all at the Western nations who started them on this habit?
Wherever I go, people really tend to like and receive some of our fast food ideas and a lot of our lifestyle factors which are debilitating. But we're there to give them a different picture, a different perspective of lifestyle medicine. Some of the most exciting areas have been in some of the new Central Asian republics whose leaders really don't want to follow the American model and are looking right from ground zero on how they can educate the public. And we've received tremendous support from these governments. Health Expo, we go at invitation of the government health authorities. Usually our invitation will come from a minister of health. And when our program opens, we will have either the Minister of Health or his designate open our program. We invite doctors from the community to come and participate. This program is open to people of all faiths. Yes, it's a Christian program, and the physicians and health educators who are involved are Seventh-day Adventists, but we work side by side with our colleagues.
So it doesn't matter if you are in an Islamic country or a Buddhist country or whatever it is, they seem to respond quite well to it.
Well, this message is not only for people of other faiths, it's also for people in my own church. And what I found so interesting, we brought the vice governor of an important state in Central Asia to Weimar to go through the New Start program. And when she went back, she said, you know, I'm going to be visiting the Adventist priest frequently to find out if he's putting these practices to use in his own life and for his own members.
So she's going to call on the Adventist priest when she gets back.
Oh, she already has.
She already has. You know, I have a question for you, because it sounds as though you've traveled to many of these places, or at least aware of those places where the Health Expo has been. And, you know, a lot of people will say it's a cultural thing. If I'm an Indian, I eat this way. If I'm an American, I eat this way. And you can't change culture. You can't fight it. It seems that Health Expo is really saying, no, that's not true. But
a good example, just a couple of months ago, I was in India, and we held a Health Expo and a Health Expo training seminar there. And some of the leaders that I was working with, they said, you know, the New Start program is great, perhaps in America, but some of the nutritional aspects will just not fit Indian culture. Let's take, for example, the area of refined vegetable fat. You talk about the importance of trying to use whole plant foods as much as possible and avoiding refined oils, which are subject to oxidation, especially when you cook them. And so they said, Dr. Nelson, you have to understand, you know, when you're dealing with an Indian culture, if you take out the oil, you're kind of attacking our whole way of eating. So I listened, and then I went out to a bookstore. And there I saw was the featured 2 books of the month. One was Diet for Reversing Heart Disease. And I go, I've got to get this. And I looked inside, and it was 100% oil-free, whole plant foods, all the way through, English and Hindi all the way through. And what I thought to myself, my own church members are not aware of this. But here's an individual who is a scientific cardiologist, not religiously affiliated, and he's out there saying, this is the diet for a new India.
Right there. So it was in English and in Hindi.
Yeah, and I bought one, brought it home with me, and just out on the press. I'm sorry I don't recall the name of the book, but you probably can find it with a good internet search on oil-free Indian cooking. It's possible. Why do we go, some people say, to the extreme of saying whole plant foods? And one reason is, if we show them how to do it with whole plant foods, without the refined foods, when they go home, they'll say, I can do this. If we showed them how to do it 100% the best way, chances are, when they go home, changes will be bigger.
So the real motto is, don't assume that people don't want to hear the whole truth. Give them the whole truth, then let them do with it what they want to do.
I'm told that the American Heart Association, reviewing the Dean Ornish program, for example, was saying, this is not very practical in American culture. It's difficult. The answer is, that's right. It's different. But I understand that Dr. Ornish said, let's not hide the truth from the people. Let them know. And we were pleased to have his endorsement of our New Start cookbook. Our program is different in that we are a little bit higher fat, but we use natural plant fat, still protected. And in the Health Expo, no matter where we go, the first thing we do when we arrive, we want to go out and find out, are all the ingredients for good health in that community? So if we're in the former Soviet Union, we go to the bazaars. We go shopping. I take pictures with my digital camera. And on the first time we talk about nutrition, I don't talk about American food.
You show them.
I show them their own food. We weigh it. We look at the prices. We show them that eating can be healthy in their own culture. I remember one city, Arkhangelsk, Russia, and the people came to us and they said, we have 2 problems here. 1, we're too fat. And 2, we can't get enough to eat.
I want to hear more about that story. We're talking to Dr. Richard Nelson. He's telling us the truth about your health and about Health Expos. Join us when we come back.
Have you found yourself wishing that you could shed a few pounds? Have you been on a diet for most of your life, but not found anything that will really keep the weight off? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, then we have a solution for you that works. Dr. Hans Deal and Dr. Eileen Luddington have written a marvelous booklet called Reversing Obesity Naturally, and we'd like to send it to you free of charge. Here's a medically sound approach successfully used by thousands who were able to eat more and lose weight permanently without feeling guilty or hungry through lifestyle medicine. Dr. Deal and Dr. Luddington have been featured on 3ABN, and in this booklet, they present a sensible approach to eating, nutrition, and lifestyle changes that can help you prevent heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer. Call or write today for your free copy of Reversing Obesity Naturally, and you could be on your way to a healthier, happier you. It's absolutely free of charge, so call or write today.
Welcome back. Welcome to Health for a Lifetime. We've been talking with Dr. Richard Nelson. We're glad you're with us, Dr. Nelson. And I kind of cut you off in the middle of the story, but you were telling us the truth about what can really happen in communities when they change their lifestyle habits. You were talking a little bit about a country you were in, and you said, hey, here are your foods. Here are the ways you can actually change in your culture. So it is possible to change our habits no matter what culture we're in.
If we're going to talk about nutrition, we have to be practical. And we have to know that all the ingredients for good health are in their community. It's not true of every community in the world, but most communities now that you go into, if you go down to their bazaars or their supermarkets, you can find that all the ingredients are there if you make the right choices.
So you're dangerous with your digital camera.
In one city in northern Uzbekistan called Zarafshan, which is a unique place, it was the first time that a member of my church had ever been in that city. We had 1,200 people attending, and it was so popular that the government said, could you please be on live television so we can do Q&A? So we did. We were supposed to be on for an hour. We went 2 hours. But during the program, we were showing pictures of what's in their bazaar and comparing the prices. Mm-hmm. And near the end of the week that we were there, they were saying, Dr. Nelson, if you wouldn't mind staying away from the butcher shops because business is really going down. Because people are discovering that they can eat healthfully for the same price. Not necessarily cheaper, but for the same price.
So for some people it was good news that you were coming, and others it was bad news. I was up recently at a conference where there were a lot of people that were vegetarians in the city, and in the newspaper it said, you know, it's a wonderful time unless you sell this, that, and the other. It's a boom time. I want to just show this flyer to the folks that are watching here. This is your actual new flyer on Health Expo. It says, into all the world, and then it begins to profile some of the different things, the Health Expo weekends, the actual Health Expo, and it has a whole bunch of resources that you can get a hold of concerning Health Expo, the exhibit coordinator guidebooks, the 8 New Start exhibits, the banners, flip charts, the stuff for children, and everything else is mentioned there. So there's a lot of resources there. You have put it all on computer, and so if you have a computer or those types of things, you can go to the web page and look at that. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's www.healthexpo.org. That's right?
That's right, and all this information is there, as well as you can call us. We'd be happy to share our experience and our expertise with your professionals in your community or your lay personnel.
Very likely, if you do go to the web page and get your phone number or call 3ABN, you will be talking to someone like Dr. Nelson because they really make a good attempt at answering your questions. I wanted to show one other thing here. I have a CD. Tell us a little bit about that.
This CD, created by Dr. Milton Crane and my brother Ken Nelson, also a physician, describes what makes people sick. It looks at you, Shirley Blewett, and Howie Blewett as they get old, develop disease, and then discover how to reverse it. It's full of great graphics and cartoons as well as good scientific information.
So there's a lot of resources that kind of put flesh on what you've been saying today, or tangible, objective things you can hand out and you can get people knowing about this.
We want people to know that they can do this in their home with their families and do it practically.
So anywhere from a family to a community, you can be involved in sharing these 8 natural laws in a very compelling way.
And Health Expo has demonstrated that around the world, not just in the United States, but also in developing nations and other developed nations. Governments have recognized that it is much cheaper to prevent, and that lifestyle diseases can be reversed in some cases effectively. And our own government, the Healthcare Finance Administration, is studying long-term with the Lifestyle Modification Project sponsored by Medicare. With Health Expo, we want to get that information as rapidly to the public as we can, present it in a culturally sensitive way, and use their own physicians and health educators working side by side with us so they can learn it and continue to teach it.
What's your success in a country like America or a Western country where they think they, quote unquote, know it all? How do doctors, how do health professionals, how does the public respond to a health expo? Say, you know, you went to Chicago or some major city. How do they respond?
We make it fun. And by making it fun, involving the whole family, we catch their interest. We started with hand-painted panels, original artwork. It took us 3 months to make each set. And we continued to produce 4 sets a year for years. Now we've gone to a wide format printer, which has high resolution, and we can put graphs and charts and also the artwork. We want to make it interesting so that people, their interest is caught. There's plenty of information out there on health, but making it practical for the whole family, and also making it artistic and where they can come in and see, that's myself, that's where I'm at. And combining that with some sophisticated but inexpensive screening techniques. For example, looking at the common carotid arteries, intima media thickness, combined with the brachial endothelial response test, which Dr. Helmuth Fritz.
You said some big words there. Just a minute.
Yeah.
So you mean they take these arteries and they see how they respond and
We're
whether or
using
not they're healthy?
some sophisticated ultrasound equipment to look at an area of the arterial wall in the common carotid which actually reflects coronary artery disease.
So if it's thick, they're bad news. If it's thin, they're not so bad.
Basically.
Okay.
And we combine that with another test which looks at the response of your artery to ischemia or lack of oxygen. It's not real comfortable for 4 minutes we pump up a cuff.
Yeah.
We're still in preliminary studies, but we can get a pretty good idea if you have increased risk of coronary artery disease.
Sounds like a real motivational tool as well.
That's the whole idea. We are not going to replace competent cardiology evaluation.
Sure.
What we'll do is identify more people who need to go and see their cardiologist.
I bet you, I would imagine that coming out of these health expos, you have just a lot of special interest stories or you know, interest stories about individuals. Do you have any of those types of things that just come to mind?
As you know, we travel around the world, and one place we went to, which is in a southern part of Central Asia, they brought a little child to me, and I was all ready for my canned speech that, you know, we're not running a clinic here, I'm going to refer you to the government health clinic. When I noticed this boy had significant heart disease, and I knew in this country they really had no heart surgery team. And so I said, look, I'll try to help. And I called up Loma Linda University and I said, would you be willing to help a little child from this country? And I was kind of hoping they'd say no because then I'd be off the hook. I've done my best. But they said, you know, we'll try. And make a long, interesting story as brief as possible. That child, we took him to the United States.
Flew him over there.
That's right. Brought him, spent 3 months with us. His hemoglobin was only 8.0, which is pretty low.
Normal is what, 11 to 14?
11 to 14. And we put him on a whole plant food diet. He had nutritional anemia. And his hemoglobin was 14 by the end of 3 months. But when we took him and did a cardiac echo and a cardiac catheterization with some of the world's best cardiologists and surgeons, they discovered his heart couldn't be fixed.
What he couldn't, what was it?
What it was is he had no pulmonary arteries, nothing from the right side of the heart connecting the lungs. And in utero, he had developed these collateral vessels. And it's a very complicated situation called tetralogy of flow with complete pulmonary atresia, which is a fancy way of saying no connection from the right heart to the lungs. And can you imagine having to take a child back with an unmended heart? We took him back to that city where there are only 4 Christian church members of my church. And when we got there, we presented the case to all the physicians, and they saw we were part of a global healthcare system of the highest standard. And we went to hold another health expo in their city, and the program had been closed after the first day because they said, you know, this program appears to have a strong Christian emphasis. And I said, well, that's true because I believe in creation just like you do. But the person who had closed the program called the governor, and the governor said, these people are the ones who are helping our community. They have reached out to even help a small child. Even though his heart wasn't fixed, we know they're part of a global healthcare system, and they're helping people of other religions as well. And that opened up a new registered center, and they saw our Christian church as a center for health dissemination. The very principles that they said our Ministry of Health should be doing, we want you to help us with. Our visas come from the Ministry of Health in these countries, and they appreciate the impact we're having on the community.
So sharing yourself with just one individual, and it wasn't just you, it was a team, that international team.
And we've seen that repeated in a number of other cities. And in 30 seconds to tell you, in one place, the largest church building project in all of the Central Asia republics was taken away because the government didn't understand what its use would be. But when they hosted the Health Expo, they said, this is the type of work we need. And we realized that Health Expo isn't just for people outside of their church, it's also for the people in their own church. This is something that we need in our Ministry of Health. And that's when the vice governor from that state came through the New Start Lifestyle program. And today, throughout that country, as well as some of the other nations we've been to, the Ministries of Health are actually helping sponsor the Health Expos.
Amazing. So doors open up that are going to benefit people not only physically but also spiritually, but you're very respectful of whatever the culture is, and they realize that, hey, this is going to help us bottom line physically. With
our motivation is Christ's love, and as our Creator, we know He didn't wish these diseases upon us.
On anybody.
That's right. And by employing these lifestyle techniques, we can bring a lot of happiness and health to a lot of families.
Someone's watching right now, Dr. Nelson, our last 30 seconds or minute together, they're saying, look, I need to get in touch with some of these principles, both either to share or for myself personally. What should they do?
Call us, visit our website, or call 3ABN for more information about how lifestyle modification can work for you and your family.
Let me give you the website if you're interested in it. If you're interested in the New Start program, just go to www.newstart.ws.
That's 3 W's.
3 W's. www.newstart.ws. And then if you're interested in Health Expo, either for yourself, your family, or community, go to healthexpo.org. Of course, put a www in front of that. We're glad that you've joined us today. We hope that this has been inspiring to you to do something for yourself, your family, or your community. And we hope that as a result, they'll have health that lasts for a lifetime.